Hey, what's up, Lightbolt Joe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2021 sequel book, Here's to Us, by Becky Albertelli and Adam Silvera. So this is the sequel book to 2018-2019's What If It's Us? And so this is a thick one. This is a thick one. 462 pages, including the epilogue. I am blown away with both of these books. It's one of those things where it just like hits the soul, right? Alice Osman, any book that she wrote hits my soul, and these two books hit my soul. It's very interesting within the LGBTQI plus IA plus QIA plus 2 plus. I can't remember the alphabet. It's amazing with these alphabet books where so many different umbrellaed representation is important, and Alice does an incredible job with that. And What If It's Us is very, very general in the alphabet, and that's fine, but it's nice to see it in a mainstream media. What If It's Us, Here's to Us exploded within book talk and reels because everybody was reading a lot more during the pandemic, and so everybody was just, oh, you got to read this. Oh, you're in this community, you got to read this book. So it's just cool having community within the real world and in this book world where it's explored and represented. That we're at Pride, at New York City Pride, for half a second of a scene, but it was important showing that community, and I think that's very important, and a lot of people forget that community is important. Community is supposed to be where we uplift each other and root for each other and have each other's back and fight for each other, not degrade each other, not be condescending to one another, stuff like that. So with that being said, so the first book starts out, characters are 16, some of them being 16. No, Ben is 17, Arthur is turning 17. Okay, that's where they meet at the post office on Lexington Avenue. He's wearing his hot dog tie. I need to get a hot dog tie, and I need to go to this post office on Lexington Avenue. I'm sure it's landmarked, as in like pinpointed on Insta. I have to check. But so we have their relationship in the first book. We have them deciding to split. So then now we are 2 years later, within the epilogue of 2 years later. So they are just finishing up now in the beginning of this book. They're just finishing up their freshman years of college. So they're 19, 18, going to be 19. And so Arthur is back in New York City for this intern gig he has with this Broadway director. And he's the assistant to the intern. No, he's the assistant's assistant, so he's the intern for the assistant to the director. Okay, there we go. But Ben is with this guy Mario. Mario is not his boyfriend. It's been vehemently stated, Mario's not my boyfriend, but they're together. And Arthur's been dating this guy Mikey from college. He goes to college in Wesleyan in Connecticut. So it's now Arthur is in New York, and Ben's stayed in New York. Ben's been in New York. So it's now a matter of, do old feelings come back when you're back physically in each other's presence? The answer is yes. And it's very interesting watching 462 pages play out of will they, won't they? How do they break up? How does Arthur break up with Mikey, even though he's trying to force being with Mikey? How does force his feelings to be with Mikey? How is Ben going to handle Mario moving to Los Angeles to be a screenwriter with his uncle, even though they're not officially boyfriends and Mario can't say it? So how does that pseudo breakup happen? How does things happen, right? How do things happen? So while that's going on, we have Dylan and Samantha back into New York. They went to school in Chicago for a bit. And so Dylan's been acting weird. So it's a matter of, why is Dylan acting weirder than normal? And Dylan's the greatest character in the entire two books, to be honest. And then it's just more of that, more exploring of that, more going into different plot points within the books, which is just wonderful. It's cool having the different aspects of questioning life, questioning, did I make a mistake 2 years ago? Should I have let him go 2 years ago? On both fronts. And to have that reconciliation of oneself, and then to have the reconciliation together, flashing forward 4 years, them living together, flashing forward another 2 years, them getting married at 25, I think the math is, finally. Dylan and Sam, pregnant, getting married, the end, prior to the epilogue. It's very cool watching the character development of realizing everything that you've ever wanted was right there the entire time. And it was just a matter of stating it, making sure you were true to yourself to be true to others. I think it's beautiful on a mental health aspect that you have to check in on yourself. You have to make sure you're okay before you throw other reliance onto other people. I thought that was very cool and very subtle throughout the entire thing. Dylan getting closer with Patrick throughout the time, very cool. Ethan coming out as bisexual uh, to Arthur right before Pride, hysterical in a beautiful way too, in the middle of a souvenir store. But it's really cool watching these characters grow. And you have 8 years of story within 2 books, but it's very flash forward. And I don't mind the flash forward. Of course, I would like to know what happened between the 4 years of then moving together in an apartment in Connecticut to then moving together in Brooklyn, and then 2 years after our proposal, after Ben is a published author finally, not from Wicked Wizard War, from a different book. What was the 2 years of engagement like? Why was it 2 years of engagement if they'd known they've been in love with each other since, that summer? July 9th is when they reconciled the love confessions at a dress rehearsal of the play that Arthur was working on. It's just really fun watching the whole universe's, paying attention to us kind of a thing. So I laugh constantly. I cried with this book. I chuckled. I smirked so much, but it was a lot of vocal laughing. Like, I don't laugh that much while reading. And so to physically laugh at a moment or gasp, it's very rare for me to show such physical signs, physical reactions to a book. So this is an incredible franchise. It's 2 books, but it's an incredible dualness of story. Very long. I know the first book was sold for movie rights back in 2018, I think right before the book actually came out. So I'm curious what's up with that, because we're many years later, right? We're like 5 years later, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years later. What's up with the movie? There's no word for it. And I would love to see these be one right after each other. It'd be so cool watching them age, like having one of them grow a beard to show time has passed. Like, it's one of my favorite film tricks. It's not even a trick. It's just what's the easiest way to age someone without actually putting makeup on them? Make the guy grow a beard. it's funny. So Here's to Us by Becky Albertelli, Adam Silvera, the amazing sequel book to What If It's Us by Becky Albertelli and Adam Silvera. Thus concludes our current Becky Albertelli marathon. I'm jumping back into the Rude Riordan Presents mythology books. Then we got the Goosebump books to read, and then we'll see what happens next. But there's a lot of stuff I gotta read, and it's already what's today? Today is where's my January 19th. It's already 19 days into the new year. I've only read 2 books. I got 62 Goosebump books to read. 62 plus like 8 mythology ones too. We're gonna do it. We can do it. We're gonna see how long this takes. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.